Do you want to know how to talk to your child about anxiety? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about conversations about anxiety. In this video, we're going to talk about anxiety and how to have conversations about anxiety so that it does not define or control our children. In order to have a discussion about anxiety with our children, we have to make sure that our children actually understand what anxiety is. That's one of the first things that we need to talk about. This channel, which is the Teaching Self-Government channel, is all about helping people prepare for self-mastery. One of the first things that we always do when teaching any new skill or helping a person overcome any hardship is we start with pre-teaching. We plan and prepare ahead of time so that the person has understanding of the skill that they need to use before they actually use it. So what I'd like to discuss today is how we prepare our child with conversations to understand their anxiety, to be able to process those anxious moments, and then what they can do to actually decrease some of the effects of that anxiety and feel like they can live a little bit more normal and self-regulated life. So the first thing I would do is decide when to have a conversation with my child. I'd probably go into the conversation with some prayer because I'm a prayerful person. I would plan ahead of time some key points that I want to make sure I touch on. I might even prepare in my own heart and mind what type of a tone that I want to have. Do I want to be understanding? Do I want to be calm? Do I want to be supportive? What are those terms that I need to be thinking in my mind? I might even write them on my hand or on a piece of paper, something that says calm, supportive, understanding. I might say something like reflect. So I might be a reflection of something that they're experiencing so that I can repeat back to them things that they say to me so that they know that I fully understand. I might also remind myself, hey, they have anxiety. What's one of the number one things that we do with anxiety? We tell someone ahead of time what we're going to do before we do it. This helps them mentally prepare so that they can handle the moment better. Everyone has anxiety. No matter your age, you have an amount of anxiety. It's a human thing. It's a normal thing. But some people have higher levels of anxiety. For many years, I did therapeutic treatment care for troubled children, and almost all of them had anxiety. They had combinations of anxiety disorders, sensory disorders, which are also, by the way, other anxieties. They had ADHD, which has increased anxiety levels, autism spectrum, ODD, RAD, compulsive lying, anger controls, impulse control problems. A lot of these things have anxiety built into them. And so those were the type of children that I was helping in my home while I was raising my own biological children at the same time when I was doing therapeutic treatment care for those troubled children. I've had a lot of experience working with youth that have anxiety, and one thing that I know is that it doesn't have to define them forever. And I wouldn't use it as an excuse. I wouldn't have everything hinge on it, and I wouldn't baby them either. They have to learn how to get through life. They have to have some grit. They have to recognize, well, it might be harder for me, or I might feel insecure right now, but I can do this. That's one of the number one things that I wanted them to get out of any conversation. So when they would first come to my home, I would tell myself, I want to be understanding, supportive, calm, loving. I want to make sure that I pre-teach them all the time so that they know that I care about things that are coming up, but I'm never going to stop them from making progress. I'm going to make sure that they understand that I know that they can get over some of this anxiety, that they can work their way through it. Because they have to. If we baby them, if we coddle them in their anxiety, then they will have a disability their whole life that makes them see themselves differently. They will expect special treatment from others. and that is entitlement. It hurts relationship, it hurts purpose and progress. It will ultimately hurt them if we put their well-being and feeling of emotional safety on all the other people around them, because guess what? Nobody's going to know about their anxiety and it's going to fail. The only way to keep them safe and protected emotionally, physically, anyway, is with them to know that they have to handle their own anxiety. So how do we talk to them about that? So if you've already subscribed to this channel, then you know I am all about being deliberate. You can't be self-governed unless you are deliberate, which means that we can't be afraid of having good, honest conversations with our children about themselves, about us, about the things that are going on around them. What I would do is I would have what I call a parent counseling session. This isn't with a counselor. This is just me and my child, and we're going to have a counsel together. We're going to discuss something of importance, and we're going to keep it to one topic. This time the topic is going to be anxiety. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a special time where they come sit next to me on the couch, or maybe we're on a drive or a walk, or sitting out on the porch having a popsicle or something. I'm going to invite them into my space, into my time, and I'm going to set aside that time for them. And then I'm going to say, hey, there's something I wanted to tell you about. I don't know if you've ever heard about the word anxiety before. And I want to tell you what that is and what it means, because every single person has some of it. And now they're interested, right? So now you might say to them, every single person has a time, maybe lots of times, where they feel worried. They might feel afraid. They might be unsure of how something is going to turn out. They might think they're going to be a failure, or they might think other people are thinking certain things about them. But did you know that all those things are just happening inside your own head? They might not fail. The people might not be thinking those things about them. They might be able to do that hard thing that they think they can't do. But their brain is trying to protect them and stop them from having any kind of a disappointment, a danger, or a disaster. Anxiety is supposed to be a help to us to keep us safe. But sometimes in our brains, the anxiety can become a habit, and it can make it so that we don't step out of our comfort zones and do things that we're supposed to learn how to do. And even making mistakes and having failures are healthy things that we have to learn how to do. They're just part of growing up and part of life. So what types of things do you think that you might have anxiety about? They might be thinking for a minute. If they don't have an idea, you could say, well, I know there's something sometimes I have anxiety about. When I'm driving and I'm on the freeway and big semi trucks come close to me and I'm boxed in, I feel a little bit worried. I think, what if this truck comes over and crashes me because I don't have anywhere to go? Am I going to be safe and protected? If that happens, how do I keep myself safe and protected? So I start thinking of plans for how to solve my problem, and I have to tell myself, don't worry, solve the problem instead. Because if I just sat there and worried, I might freeze, and that could create another problem. What are some of your anxieties or worries that you sometimes go through? So then they might tell you some of those anxieties. Now, probably you already know what those anxieties are, but now is the time where they get to now diagnose and analyze themselves. This liberates them. They're not being categorized as having anxiety or being anxious. They're being told they're totally normal, and they're being asked, what things do you think that we could help you through? So now they come up with an idea. Well, I have anxiety about new foods. I don't like to eat things that are slimy, or I don't like to eat things that are green color, or, whatever it is. And you could say, yeah, I've had that one too. I used to have anxiety about eating anything that was round, especially if it was round and black. I did not like to eat olives. But I saw all the other people were eating olives around me and they were fine. So I decided that I would start trying olives. And I first just took a little bite of an olive. And then the next time olives were served, I took a little bit bigger bite. And then the next time I ate a whole olive. And I realized I was actually not that worried about olives anymore, and I probably could start eating olives. They maybe wouldn't be my favorite food, but I could start eating them. You can help your children see from your own experience how they can step out of the comfort zone and make a plan for how to conquer this. So you might say, I know that you don't like slimy things, and that may give you a feeling of anxiety or worry. So what are we going to do now to plan to overcome this anxiety about eating slimy things? So then they might think, oh my goodness, I don't want to eat any though. I don't know. So maybe you'll say, how about we start by just getting out all the things in our fridge that we think might be slimy or you wouldn't want to eat. Or let's just get out one a day. Let's touch it. Let's look at it. Let's smell it. Let's put our finger on a piece of it and taste the finger with it, even though it has a texture we think we might be worried about. Maybe it's pudding, maybe it's fish, maybe it's, I don't know. You start with the other senses besides just taste, and then you say, and then after we explore this one item this week, we'll look at it every day, we'll touch it, we'll smell it, and then at the end of the week, we're gonna take a bite of it and we're gonna eat it. And then by the end of the next week, we're gonna try to eat the whole thing. How about that? So when you tell them we're going to baby step this a little bit at a time, they still might be a little bit worried, but it's going to be okay. So this skill is all about teaching self-government, and there are certain skills that I teach that are called the 4 basic skills. I actually teach multiple skills of self-regulation and self-government, but these ones are the basics. You've got to have these ones first. These children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills of self-government, which end up taking care of 99% of your behavioral problems if you know them all. The 4 basic skills are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. When a person learns to follow instructions, then they can be self-governing. If they cannot learn the basic skill, the number 1 basic of all of the 4 basics, which is following instructions, then they won't ever learn how to self-govern themselves, because they won't be able to give themselves an instruction and follow through. So this book here, London LaRae, says, okay, teaches that skill, following instructions. The 5 steps to this skill of following instructions are going to be so valuable to you as you are helping your child learn to step out of their comfort zone. When a person is being instructed to try something new, like a slimy piece of food, or wear a new pair of pants that they don't want to wear, or try a new activity with friends that maybe they seem worried about, you might have to say, this is an instruction. Give them an instruction. Then they use the 5 steps to following an instruction in order to make it through that process. Now, what happens if they still resist and they're like, no, I'm not going to do that? Well, then at that point, you might have to do a correction, because they need to learn how to follow instructions, even if it's uncomfortable sometimes, because if not, they'll never give themselves an uncomfortable instruction. They won't be able to self-govern themselves. So then you'll do a correction. Now the steps for the corrections and all of those things are contained on my website, in my course, and in my other books and trainings for parents. If you want to learn a little bit more about some of these skills and principles of self-government, then I highly recommend the video on this channel. That's a full-length class that goes into some more detail. It's called The Not-So-Known Secret for Parenting Success. Click on the link to that video next. I'll see you there.